surfaces where the water flows in a wide sheet. Continuous mist supports more than 110 plant species, forming a humid environment that stabilizes the surrounding landscape. Mount Tabayok shows extreme conditions as its nearly 9,300-foot height combines with saturated air to overwhelm hikers from the first steps. Reports from 2021 note repeated bursts of thick fog where visibility shrinks to faint shapes only a few feet away. The forest floor stays waterlogged, turning exposed roots into slippery surfaces that force hikers to use their hands for balance. The journey leaves a severe impression as physical exhaustion mixes with disorientation when both sound and sight narrow at the same time. Mount Manungal is known for steep slopes, ancient humid forest, and long-shaped geology, creating a naturally isolated low mountain space. The site is tied to an aviation event in 1957, making it a meaningful national memorial. Its cloud forest often limits visibility to 40 feet, giving the upper area a dim and diffused appearance. Trail parts reaching 50% slope with weathered rock and exposed roots demand full focus from hikers. More than 40 fern species grow in the high forest, showing rare biodiversity for a low mountain system. Tamaraw Falls is known as a multi-step waterfall where two main streams merge before dropping from about 300 feet, creating a clear sequence of levels. The strong contrast between bright water and dark rock keeps the falls visually stable in many lighting conditions. Ancient metamorphic rock, shaped by erosion, forms narrow surfaces where the flow shifts from forceful drops to wider spreads. Thick mist supports nearly 90 plant species and maintains a humid environment around the falls. Mount Magnaw is an ancient massif shaped by millions of years of tectonic movement, creating a fractured landscape with heavy visual presence. Cold morning fog sometimes reduces visibility to only a few feet, forcing visitors to feel their way through a nearly colorless space. Travelers crossing the dark, wet forest face slippery inclines, thick leaf litter, and faint wind passing through very tall trees. Ancient fern systems in deep, moist zones build an isolated plant community, giving observers a sense of reaching a primitive biological archive. Mount Sikipu is known for a high remote peak, where long-distance travel and shifting terrain create a sense of complete separation from familiar environments. For decades, climbers described the area as a place avoided by most people because reliable maps were rare and access required long physical effort. Dense forest captures moisture above 95%, turning each step into a careful movement through dark and saturated ground. Steep slopes exceeding 60% produce unstable soil and sharp rock surfaces that become extremely slippery whenever short mountain rains appear. Mount Talomo is an extinct volcanic mountain with steep terrain and dense cloud layers, creating an isolated humid forest environment in southern Philippines. Twentieth-century records describe a custom of avoiding loud speech in the cloud forest because locals believed strong noise could disturb protective spirits. Several trail sections rise above 70% slope, requiring slow breathing and careful energy control from hikers. A cloud cap covers the summit on about 70 to 80% of days, making Mount Talomo a geological marker of the forces that lifted this region. Mount Isarog is known as an old stratovolcano, built from thick basalt and andesite layers deposited across more than 500,000 years. Constant moisture creates a cloud forest, where continuous moss bands about 1 to 3 inches thick cover tree trunks, showing rare ecological stability. Rainfall in this region often rises above 150 inches each year, helping maintain a strong water cycle and dense vegetation. Old expedition notes from the 20th century mention sound losing high frequencies inside the forest, revealing an unusual acoustic effect caused by heavy moisture. Ecology teams consider Mount Isarog an important example of a remaining mature cloud forest with long-term conservation value. Mount Panay is recognized as a large and little-studied mountain area where rainforest and fractured slopes create a challenging route. In old community memory, Mount Panay was seen as a shelter mountain, offering protection during periods of conflict. The lower forest layer stays stable because a deep water system provides steady moisture for more than 150 understory species. The region remains one of the least traveled trekking routes because steep ground, dense forest, and limited visibility affect most journeys.